All right, let's talk about menopause and heart health. For a long time, scientists thought that estrogen was the key player in protecting women from cardiovascular disease. Makes sense, right? Before menopause, women have lots of estrogen, and their risk of heart disease is low. Then menopause hits, estrogen drops by 80%, and suddenly the risk of heart disease and diabetes goes up. But hold on, if estrogen was the only factor, wouldn't hormone therapy completely solve the problem? Well, the evidence, as we discussed in the previous lecture, says otherwise. So, what else could be at play?
Take a look at this graph. See how the risk of CVD and type 2 diabetes is low for young women but jumps around menopause? That's when estrogen levels take a nosedive. But it's not just estrogen that's changing. Another hormone, sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG, also decreases, making androgens like testosterone more available. And guess what? This makes insulin resistance worse. Oh, and there's another hormone we need to talk about, DHEA. It also drops during menopause, so many hormones could play a role on menopausal health, not just estradiol. So, we did a study on sex hormones and diabetes, and here's what we found. Low SHBG levels, the protein that binds sex hormones, and high estrogen levels were linked to an increased risk of diabetes in postmenopausal women. That's right, higher estrogen wasn't protective. And while we didn't find a strong link between testosterone and diabetes, there was a hint that more free testosterone might increase the risk. Interesting, right? Here's another twist. Pregnancy, a time when estrogen is high, has been linked to insulin resistance and gestational diabetes. And what about menopausal hormone therapy? Studies show it's not always as protective as we thought. Sometimes it even increases the risk of heart problems. This means we need to rethink the estrogen hypothesis. Could something else be playing a role? Now, let's talk about iron. It's essential for life, but too much of it can be a problem. Iron overload has been linked to inflammation, metabolic disorders, and, you guessed it, heart disease and diabetes. In women, iron levels have even been associated with hot flashes, osteoporosis, and skin aging. But despite all this, the role of iron in menopausal health has been largely ignored. Why? Here's something fascinating. Men store more iron throughout life because they don't lose it every month like women do. But after menopause, women's iron levels start climbing. Using data from over 6,800 people in the PREVEN study in Netherlands, we found that iron-related biomarkers in men and women start off very different but become more similar as they age. And guess what? This happens at the same time that heart disease risk evens out between men and women. Coincidence? Maybe not. Looking at menopausal stages, we also see a clear trend. Ferritin and hepcidin, two key iron markers, rise from premenopause to menopause. So could increasing iron levels be contributing to the health risks women face after menopause? This is an area of research that has been neglected and could be of interest to explore in the future. Here's another clue. Studies show that eating lots of non-heme iron found in plants and fortified foods is linked to a higher risk of diabetes, heart disease, and even early death. And check this out. When men with peripheral artery disease donated blood twice a year, their risk of heart attack and stroke dropped significantly. That's about the same amount of blood women lose naturally through menstruation. So is iron overload part of the puzzle? Quite possibly. Of course, research on this topic isn't perfect. Many studies have small sample sizes, unreliable iron measurements, or don't fully account for factors like inflammation. But the pattern is worth exploring further. So, should we ditch the estrogen hypothesis altogether? Not quite. Instead of choosing between the estrogen and iron hypotheses, we should look at how they interact. For example, recent studies suggest that estradiol might actually help the body absorb and store iron. This could explain why some women experience negative effects from oral contraceptives or hormone therapy. Could rising iron levels be part of the issue? More research is needed, but it's an exciting new direction. Let's sum it up. Early menopause is linked to a higher risk of chronic diseases, but we don't fully understand why. The estrogen hypothesis explains part of the story, but iron metabolism may be a missing piece of the puzzle. Hormone therapy shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all solution. It needs to be personalized based on a woman's specific health risks. And finally, we should explore alternative treatments beyond hormone therapy. So, is it time to shift our thinking? Absolutely. Let's keep asking questions and pushing the boundaries of what we know about menopause and cardiometabolic health. Thanks for watching.